Billionaire Jeff Bezos took shots at President Biden for his comments on inflation over the weekend. Biden tweeted amid growing concerns of the cost of gas prices and groceries, "You want to bring down inflation? Let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." Well, in response, Jeff Bezos, billionaire owner of one of the world's wealthiest corporations, Amazon, tweeted, "The newly created disinformation board should review this tweet, or maybe they need to form a new non sequitur board instead. Raising corporate taxes is fine to discuss. Taming inflation is critical to discuss. Mushing them together is just misdirection."
Here with us to discuss is author and deputy opinion editor at Newsweek, Batya Ungar-Sargon. Welcome, Batya.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so this is a great topic to discuss. This might actually, I don't know, this might divide the room here. I kind of like Bezos, Elon, other billionaires saying, you know, we've had enough of like this mindless being bashed for everything I actually like them speaking up and saying, no government, like this is wrong. And actually to twist the knife with that absolutely correct calling BS on this misinformation board, right, that's only ever going to correct in one direction because it's, you know, run by people who only want to fact check things that in some cases aren't even wrong, like the Hunter Biden laptop story, and never anything on the other side. You know, I'm really interested to hear what you think about this, Batya.
So to me, this really perfectly encapsulated the problem with the discussion about economic policy in America, because it showed the sort of two sides of the debate and how both of them are, I think, making the same mistake. And what I mean by that is, you know, you have President Biden saying, you know, we need a higher corporate tax and that's somehow going to solve inflation, right? And then on the other hand, you have, you know, this sort of corporate overlord, Jeff Bezos, saying, no, we need to, you know, well, we can discuss that, but, you know, that has nothing to do with inflation. And, you know, we know that he's sort of against sort of paying, you know, corporations paying higher taxes. And I think that the problem is that both of those positions, the sort of pro-corporate, let corporations do whatever they want position, and then the tax them at a higher rate, have the government collect those taxes and redistribute them to lower income Americans, both of those are fundamentally at odds with what the working class in America actually needs, which is to be paid a living wage. Like what they don't need is for corporations to be hampered by, you know, impossibly high corporate taxes that will, you know, hamper corporations' ability to create jobs and provide jobs. But they also don't need corporations to be left to their own devices and then pay them starvation wages. Like even in New York City, if you're an Amazon driver, you're making $15. Sure, that's double the national minimum wage, but that is not a living wage in New York. So I feel like this exchange perfectly encapsulated what looks like a debate about economic policy, but really is just, you know, the elites of both sides catering to what their own elites want, which is on the left, rich liberals want to, you know, keep getting richer and richer and then pay higher and higher taxes and pay off the working class to have those starvation wages at their jobs on the left. And then on the right, what you have is like, corporate freedom to do whatever you want and pay people whatever you want.
It seems like Biden is just giving lip service to Americans just to say this is what's causing the inflation problem. It doesn't seem like he knows what's causing the inflation problem. And so he's just using these catchphrases that he knows are popular, like, well, it's make the rich pay their fair share. It's Putin's problem, Putin's price hike, right? So, I mean, Biden, is he just lost on this? I mean, what do you think? What should he be saying compared to what he is saying to Americans?
Well, I don't think Biden probably writes his own tweets, you know, so I feel like whoever wrote that tweet, but I totally agree with you. It's exactly like, you know, Putin's price hike, right? This is the next stage of the Putin's price hike, right? It's like blame whoever the left is mad at for inflation, right? Like that is just so totally random. Like Bezos is obviously totally correct. Like corporate taxes have nothing to do with inflation. So yeah, Kim, I think that's spot on. I think, you know, the president has really struggled to find not just messaging around inflation that will be compelling to Americans, but more importantly, policy around inflation that would actually help struggling Americans.
Yeah, I'm really interested if you think that we've reached sort of a turning point in basically how much pointless, very ill-informed abuse from people like Elizabeth Warren or Biden's Twitter account or whoever behind it, you know, the kind of mindless bashing. I know there are thoughtful criticisms of of corporations or some of the behavior of Amazon. There's more thoughtful criticism. And then there's less, thoughtful criticism like this. And I'm interested, I wonder if the people in those, roles like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, are they getting more vocal, a little bit more defiant? Maybe they feel like they don't have to bow anymore to, I wonder if we're reaching a moment where they don't have to, go with what the wokest of the woke think, or like they're getting a little bit testy about it. Do you see that happening? Do you think we're maybe reaching a turning point there?
Well, I think, Elon Musk is a bit of a, kind of a bit of a show pony on this front. He loves to go on Twitter and sort of, bash politicians while, of course, bending the knee to China and doing whatever they ask him to. I think from Bezos, maybe, that there's a little bit of sort of pushback now. He's saying, hey, maybe stop kicking me around so much. But again, I think that kicking around is such a misdirection. Like someone like Senator Warren, what I want to know from people like Senator Warren is, so to what do you describe, the amazing economy under President Trump, if not to lowering the corporate tax rate? You can look at countries in Scandinavia. I mean, Sweden's corporate tax rate is 20%, which is lower than ours, right? A lot of places that have a kind of democratic socialist point of view understand that like raising the corporate tax rate is not necessarily a way to, that's actually not necessarily a way to help the lower classes. And so to me, that sort of the whole conversation seems to me to be about messaging rather than policy. And it's just so disappointing.
Right. Everything costs. The major problem that I see facing the working class is that in America, everything costs too much. Obviously, it does with inflation, with literal prices of goods, food, baby formula, oil. But it's been the case for a long time, even before that education costs too much, childcare costs too much, medical care costs too much. Actually, ironically, a lot of the sectors that the government has been very involved in have gotten a lot less affordable for working people, and that's not really it's a technical issue. It's not that we haven't appropriated enough money from corporations to make those things affordable. There's something else going on, and until we grapple with that, we're still going to have these problems.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, you hear a lot of people saying, oh, manufacturing is not coming back. Okay, so if manufacturing is not coming back, if the jobs where we're seeing increases are in places like trucking and Amazon, right, and deliveries and all of these, service industry jobs, if we're saying that's the new American working class, then it behooves the left and the right to figure out a way to make those jobs an avenue to the American dream. That is the number one priority. If we're going to say that the majority of working class Americans are going to be employed at Walmart and Amazon, in the future, and that's the future we're looking down, we have to find a way. Both sides need to find a plan to make those jobs have a living wage so we can get back on track to the American dream.
Not for those far-right Nazi trucker terrorists. No, we can't possibly do that.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Mainstream Republicans are the kinds of people who shoot up black supermarkets, according to Rolling Stone, as we discussed in the A block, right?
Yes.
It's contemptible. Well, Batya, thank you so much for joining us. Fascinating discussion as always.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You too. We'll be back with more Rising right after this.